This is the MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show. A station that pays.
This is MC Reggie Fresh from the MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show. And folks, guess who's in the building? He was born in Alexandria, Virginia. Went to Fort Knox High School in Fort Knox, Kentucky. He played for the University of Louisville and also played basketball for the Louisville Cardinals. And he played overseas professionally. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome forward number 24, Troy Smith. What's going on, brother Troy? And welcome to the MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show. What's up, my brother?
Nothing too much. Maintaining. How you doing?
Hey, man, doing wonderful, brother. Doing wonderful. Let's talk about your experience being a Louisville Cardinal in your Louisville career.
Okay, no problem.
All right, man, listen. What made you want to play basketball?
Well, at the end of the day, I grew up on it. My brothers played. My father coached me, so it was in the bloodline for real.
Already in the bloodline. Man,
right.
you ain't gonna believe it, man, but it was like in 1989. It might have been like 89, something like that. I mean, not 80. It might have been, back in the 80s, it was like the middle 80s, whatever it was, man. I remember I took a crew of brothers from my hometown, Lebanon, Kentucky. We went down to Fort Knox, man, and we went to this club called the Eagle Nest. And you was in there real tall. You remember that?
Yeah,
remember that club?
Yeah, that was a little hangout when I was coming up in high
I was like, man, that joker need to come. I said that joker need to come to Lebanon to one of our dirt bowls.
Right. Yeah, I did a couple of dirt bowls in my time. I did a little travel in Kentucky, did the dirt bowl thing. But yeah, definitely wish I'd have made it there too. But that's funny you should mention that about the Eagles Nest. That bring back memories. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, because when I went to the Army, then that's when I knew next thing you know, you playing for the Cardinals.
Right. Grew a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and had the opportunity to do that. Well, we definitely appreciate it and got all type of stories and experiences.
Well, that was all right.
I was blessed and fortunate to be able to do that.
Well, that's all right, brother. Now, let me ask you this. What was the transition that you had to make going from high school to college?
I think for me, in high school, I was pretty much taller than everyone, so it was a little more easier to dominate. When you got to college, you got a higher ratio of people who were just as good as you were, if not better. So you actually had to do some lifting, conditioning, trying to get in the best shape you can in order to compete. So just being on the floor and being probably the most dominant player on the floor in high school, it transitioned to having to compete with people just as good as basically on your level. So you're stepping up every level. It gets even greater when you go from college to the NBA. You got to be really ready to make the jumps. You know what I mean?
All right. Now, what was the feeling, man, when you got that call when you knew you was going to go to Louisville? How did you feel?
Well, I felt good. It was a tough decision because when you're coming out of high school, obviously if you're good enough, you have the opportunity to go to quite a few different schools.
Right.
You know, so once it narrowed down, it actually came down to Louisville, Kentucky. And to tell you a funny story, I actually committed to Kentucky first. A lot of people don't know that.
I was going to ask you that.
Right. But they were going through a troublesome time where the coach had ended up getting fired and Rick Pitino wasn't announced as the coach yet. Decisions need to be made. So Louisville was right there in the thick of things too. You know what I mean? So it all transpired and we ended up at Louisville. But I'm glad we made the decision that we made.
All right, that's what's up, man. So was you a Kentucky fan or a Louisville fan? Even though you was from Virginia and you was a military guy, your dad was in
wasn't. Yeah, I didn't have a favorite at that time. I didn't know the level of how competitive it was.
Right.
And, you know, the actual rivalry. You're really not aware of how drastic it is until you're actually living in the state. You're going through it. So being from Virginia, you don't know the magnitude of the rivalry. But, you know, you quickly learn, you know what I mean? So definitely quickly learn.
You already know. And you know what, man? If I was coming up and I had a son and I lived in Kentucky, like Marion County, if I was living in Marion County and I had a son probably about, let's say I lived in Louisville and I got relatives from Lebanon, Kentucky. Man, do you know it's only one school there, and all you got to do is dunk. And all the competitive schools in Louisville, if they had an uncle or an aunt or somebody who live in a small town like that and let them go finish their last 2 years, man, that's a big advantage.
Right, yeah. I definitely agree with you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, no doubt.
Because we only had one school.
Right, yeah, that's what sucks. It's hard to get seen. It's hard to do anything when you're a little ways out because you're away from the competition and everything as well. You know what I mean? So trying to get that exposure gets kind of tough when you're a little ways out of the city.
Yeah. All right, man. And let me ask you this. Now, what would you tell a person like right now, these kids that's like junior, sophomore, they playing basketball, working their way up to college? What's their mindset got to be to get on that level to prepare for college, to excel and be good and have a good career? Meaning keeping their grades up, staying focused, and trying to adapt from being far away from home, dealing with different people all over the world, and that kind of stuff.
Sure, you get your education, so you got that to fall back on regardless.
Right.
Because even if you make it to the pros, and it ain't no determining how long that can last. You could suffer from an injury. Anything can happen, and then you don't have that. So you need that education to fall back on. That was one of the biggest mistakes that I had endured at the time. You know what I mean? So putting the education first would be that. Then it's all about your work ethic and determination. At the end of the day, if a human can do it, it can be done. So as long as you got the confidence that you can do it, obviously it takes some type of ability and talent in order to do it too, but you first got to be confident enough in yourself. Confidence is a big key. There was a year or two when I wasn't as confident as I should have been. The Louisville, you lose that confidence and then your shots not falling, and then you run into a little slump, you know what I mean? So just having that confidence that at all times you can do it, I think would be the biggest piece of advice I would give.
Okay, all right. And then what about conditioning?
Conditioning plays a very, very big, vital part in it. That's see, I'm going back to myself. This is bringing me back to me. And to be totally honest, I wasn't in the greatest shape and greatest condition that I could have been in when I was in college. And so that was all something I brought on myself. But leaving and going to play in Europe and having to get in better shape in order to compete, then I had to take it more serious when it came to paying bills and getting paid. But actually in college, I wasn't in the greatest of shape. So you have to be obviously in the tip-top shape in order to be able to compete at the highest level. Sometimes talent can overdo that. For Zion Williams, for an example, this dude is dominant. He looks like a man amongst boys out there, but he still doesn't look like he's in the best shape that he's actually going to be in.
Right.
But having that type of talent, you can overcome not being in shape. But for most who don't have that talent, then obviously you need to be and put in the time to be in the best shape that you can get in order to compete at that level. Okay.
Now, let me ask you this. Playing basketball, right, when you playing, what do you think, like for instance, like if you was starting, when you get in a starting position, then somebody else take your place, like somebody, is everybody competing every day when you practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So most places are the same way. You got your people who are your starters, who obviously they got the most talent, but obviously it's pretty competitive among some of the other players, and it's on a game-to-game basis as far as how you're practicing your plan on whether you're going to start or not. You know what I mean? So you got to be bringing it in practice, and like they say, you should always practice like you play. Obviously, that helps you in the heat in the moment. If you're just going through your jump shots and your layups like a day ago, when you're actually in the heat of the action, you have a tendency to do exactly how you practice it. So it's always good to practice like you're actually going to play.
Okay, now how do y'all deal with people on the outside? Like every time you go in the mall or something and people coming up to you, how do y'all deal with that, man?
It all depends on your personality and who you are as a person, on how you deal with people. That's just overall in life in general. So the type of person you are is going to reflect how you deal with people. I didn't mind signing autographs and talking to people. I feel like I'm a people's person and like to socialize and talk to them. So you don't mind giving autographs and talking to the people and laughing with the people. Some people don't like that. Some people don't like the attention, and some people don't like to give autographs. And so it just depends on the player's personality and who they are to determine how you deal with the people and the attention. Okay.
Now, the tournament, what's the closest tournament you been in that was like the Final Four, the Final Elite Eight? What was the one?
I was in Sweet 16s. Calvert Chaney tore us up once, and then Rodney Rogers from Wake Forest tore us up another year. So we made it to the Sweet 16. We had two really good teams. One team was with Felton Spencer and LeBradford Smith and Keith Williams. We had a pretty Tony Kimbrough. We had a nice squad against that Wake Forest team, and we had a nice squad with Cliff Rozier and a lot of other good talent that we had on that team against Indiana. Just fell short right at that Sweet 16.
That's cool, man. That's all right. Well, look, man, I appreciate you being on my show and stuff, man. You got any shout-outs you want to give to anybody?
No, not really no shout-outs. I've been working on some music and get some things started. It's therapeutic for me. I've been through a lot, so I like to put a lot out on music. So I got some music I really want to bless the world with. It's about me and my life and everything, so I'm definitely going to be dropping some of that sometime.
All right, well, listen.
Soon, so look forward to doing that.
Well, how can people get in touch with you? Is it going to be for sale? What can a person do to get that, man? Was it an album?
Right now I'm hanging on to it and putting it all together and everything, but it's going to be coming soon. I'm definitely going to let everybody know how they can get a feel for that, because like I said, the creativity, you just got to push yourself. It's therapeutic for me. I've been through a lot, so I like to put that on wax and get the feeling now, and it makes me feel better when I'm doing it.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I definitely need to get me one of the CDs whenever it come out, man. I'm definitely going to support that. Yeah, that's
definitely going to have that for you.
That's all right then, man. Well, look, man, it's been a pleasure you being on the show, brother. And the last thing I want to ask you, could you please tell me what's the baddest station in the land and the baddest station that pays?
Oh, man, that's MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show. That's a no-brainer, baby.
All right, then. And there y'all have it. Number 24, Brother Troy Smith on the MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show.
This is the MC Reggie Fresh Morning Show. A station that pays.